Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And did you think that was it for 10.1 news? Well, no. Did you think that Rets were the only class getting a rework in 10.1? Well, no. There are a lot more changes of very significant impacts being made on this update for a lot of classes. So let's take a look at it, a big deep dive on all the classes. What are they going to be looking like in the future? And you can see the first one on the list here is Balanced Druid, which has a close number to my heart. So let's see what they're going to be doing here for Balanced Druids. Shooting stars can no longer be triggered by Stellar Flare. So this is going to be lowering the value of Stellar Flare, even though they just gave it to spell protection, which is kind of sad. New talent, Wild Surges. Your chance to critically strike with Wrath and Starfire is increased by 15%, and they generate 2 additional astral power. This is a choice node with Stellar Flare. Okay, so extra crit chance on our instant Starfires could make them pretty chunky. They are nerfing PvP critical strike, though, overall. But I like that there's an option to play out of Stellar Flare because I personally have just not really enjoyed it. Wrath and Starfire generate 10 Astral Power up from 8, so more Astral Power generation. Moonfire and Sunfire also 6 Astral Power up from 2. Stellar Flare is going to generate 10 up from 8. And Nature's Balance generates 2 Astral Power every 3 seconds as opposed to 1 every 2. And Star Surge and Starfall are just getting their damage buffed 20%. I don't know if this is because of the set bonuses moving away. Astral Smolder will deal damage over 8 seconds up from 4, and its damage is increased to 40 to 80% of the spell damage. So trying to get that crit Starfire combo here with these two talents together. Again, if there's no dispel protection, that's a really easy way to just immediately remove this as an option in PvP, unfortunately. Cosmic Rapidity is going to increase the rate at which Moonfire, Sunfire, and Stellarfire deal damage by 20%, down from 25. Ooh, that's a bit of a nerf. Touch of the Cosmos. The Vault of the Incarnate 4-set bonus now reduces the astral power cost of your first Star Surge or Starfall after Enduring Eclipse by 5 and increases its damage by 20%. It was previously free and 35%. I wonder if they'll remove the PvP nerf to this or not, because this means our set bonus is getting nerfed after the patch comes out. This one will be felt the most. Losing the free Starfalls and Star Surges is going to be a big nerf. Soul of the Forest now increases Starfire's damage and astral power generation during Eclipse by 30% for each target hit beyond the first, up to 90%. Was just previously 150% bonus damage to its AoE effect. So this is making Soul of the Forest a bit more viable in just more scenarios. Power of Goldrin is going to get more damage, so we're going to get more damage from our Wolf Boys. Denizens of the Dream Fairy Dragons is also getting a 20% damage buff. Friend of the Fae will now increase Arcane and Nature damage by 8% for 20 seconds, up from 4. That's a very big buff to the Fae. Elune's Guidance now reduces the cost of Star Surge by 8 and Starfall by 10 during Incarnation. It was previously by 5 and by 8, so a little more, astral power reductions here. Radiant Moonlight also increases Fury of Elune's damage by 50% and now reduces its cooldown by 20, up from 15. This talent was never getting selected, so not surprised to see this one getting buffed a bit. Radiant Moonlight increases the damage dealt by New Moon, Half Moon, and Full Moon by 25%. So if Full Moon is able to hit hard enough, it might become a viable option, especially given the interrupt changes being made in PvP. Curious to check this out with the Starfire crits. Honestly, I feel like Boomkin is, even with all these changes, is probably going to feel worse. We have to wait and see what the set bonuses are, but the current set bonuses are so fun that I think it's hard to not make it feel worse moving forward. For Feral Druid, Berserk has been redesigned. Go Berserk for 20 seconds, while Berserk generate 1 combo point every 1.5 seconds. Finishing moves restore up to 3 combo points generated over the cap. Shred and Rake damage increased by 50%. Combo point generating abilities generate additionally 1 more combo point. New talent, Thrashing Claws. Shred damage increased by 20% to bleeding targets, and Shred and Swipe apply the bleed damage over time from Thrash. This talent is a choice node with Merciless Claws. Shred 5% damage buff, Thrash 20% damage buff. Relentless Predator reduces Ferocious Bite energy cost by 20, down from 40. So a bit of a burst nerf overall. I think with the direction of Feral is they wanted your damage to be less focused in the Incarnation window and more outside of it. So I'll have to wait and see if they can hit that, because it could make Feral feel really awesome if they do. For Resto Druid, Incarnation Tree of Life and Convoke the Spirits now properly override each other on your action bar when swapping talents. There's a lot of other talents like this that need to get this, like Incap Roar and Bash and Ursul's Vortex and Mass Entangle. Honestly, look at I feel like if they're going to do this, they need to look at almost all the choice node talents here. For Evokers, this big note here for Devastation Evokers. We're thrilled with the reception to Devastation Evoker and the excitement players have expressed for the playstyle. In Embers of Neltharion, we're making targeted adjustments to a few key talents to address a nuance of the Dragon Rage extension loop, where where it can be optimal to aggressively cancel and recast Disintegrate back to back in order to maximize the effects of Feed the Flames and Casualty. This specific behavior is fairly unintuitive, and the below changes are intended to make fully channeling Disintegrate the more rewarding way to play. Additionally, we're looking to add more options for area of effect damage gameplay with the new talent Raging Inferno and a redesigned Imminent Destruction. So this is pretty much all targeted towards PvE. I don't know many people that were doing this with Disintegrate and PvP. How do you guys feel about this for PvE? Because sometimes when there's a nuanced way of playing the class, it gives it that unique flavor. I'm thinking like snapshotting dots in the past, and that removed a certain flavor of play from the game. So I don't play Devastation in PvE, so I wouldn't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing for you to lose. Feed the Flames has been redesigned. Pyre reduces the remaining cooldown of Fire Breath and Eternity Surge by 1 second, or 2 seconds if it was cast by the affected. If it was affected by Essence Burst. Casualty has been redesigned. Causality. I'm saying casualty. It's causality. Has been redesigned while channeling Disintegrate, Fire Breath, and Eternity Surge. Cooldown 100% faster. Ooh, that's an interesting way to get all your bursts back. Dragon Rage duration increased to 18, up from 14. Animosity duration extension decreased to 4, down from 6. Engulfing Blaze cast time increased for Living Flame, reduced to 0.3 seconds, down from was 0.5. Engulfing Blaze's damage bonus to Living Flame reduced to 25 from 4. That's a big nerf to your Living Flame damage. And they're nerfing the crit damage in PvP. This is a big nerf. Imminent Destruction has been redesigned. Deep Breath causes your empowered spells to reach maximum level 20 to 40% less time, and enemies struck by it take 10 to 20% more damage from your empower spells for 15 seconds. Okay, so you're going to be able to get your charged up attacks out really fast after flying through the air. New talent, Raging Inferno. Firestorm's radius increased by 50%, and Pyre will deal 25% increased damage to enemies within your Firestorm. Raging Inferno is located on a talent tree as a choice node with Snapfire. Interesting. So trying to get like an AoE fire build out of them seems to be the goal here. For hunters, developers notes in the Embers of Neltharion, we're looking to update some active abilities that don't feel impactful while they are active, replace some talents that didn't work out as well as we had hoped, and also adjust some numbers across a few talents. Several changes have been made across all 3 specs that should make some talents more viable and exciting to use. Roar Sacrifice is now a baseline talent for you to select, which is great for opening up more honor talents, and that supposedly there are going to be more honor talents available in this patch as well, new ones. For Beast Mastery, however, let's see what's going on with your changes. Aspect of the Wild now causes Cobra Shot to hit 2 extra targets, was 1 to a total of 3 targets, so a little bit of extra AoE during Aspect of the Wild. Master Handler cooldown reduction value increased to 4 seconds, up from 2. Snake Bite damage has been increased to 75%, up from 30%, and Blood Frenzy has been redesigned. While Call of the Wild is active, your pets have the Beast Cleave effect, and Cobra Shot applies Serpent Sting to any target hit, so likely targeting certain talents that were underperforming to make them a little bit more viable in a unique manner. I'm not a calculator. I can't tell you that's going to do it 100% for certain or not, but it does seem like they're focusing these buffs around your AoE damage. Probably not going to have too big of an impact, I wouldn't think, in PvP. Marksmanship, Bombardment has been redesigned. Kill Shot now grants you trick shots. Legacy of the Windrunners has been slightly redesigned. Aim Shot now shoots 2 out of 4 wind arrows at your target. Every 24 wind arrows fired generates a charge of Aim Shot with 30 focus. Wind arrows from Legacy of the Windrunners have had their damage reduced by 66%. I don't know if that's a nerf or a buff, honestly. Lethal Shots has been replaced with In the Rhythm. New talent, In the Rhythm. Fully channeling Rapid Fire now grants you 15% haste. That could be really good for chucking out a lot of aim shots in rapid succession. Bullseye is now 1 rank talent for the same benefit as the previous 2 rank talent, so reducing down the overall talent bloat. Survival, Ruthless Marauder is now a 2 rank talent for the same benefit as the previously a 3 rank talent. Lunge has new functionality added in addition to its current effect. Each melee auto attack reduces the cooldown of your Wildfire Bomb by 1 second. Curious to see how this would play. I think Wildfire Bomb builds have been, pretty standard for survival throughout its iteration since it's existed, since like BFA, so that build is getting a bit stronger. For Monk, Song of Chi-Ji has moved to the class tree as a choice node with Ring of Peace. Ooh, having to choose between your knockback or song is going to be a big loss of crowd control here for Monk. Developers notes, Ancient Teachings is a primary piece of Mistweaver's healing toolkit in Dragonflight, but its previous design was unreliable. A single Rising Sun kick's targeting could sometimes determine life or death for an ally. That level of variance between results on healing out of your direct control wasn't healthy for the spec. feedback. Our goal is to land somewhere in the middle. A single Rising Sun kick likely shouldn't save an ally on its own, but it also shouldn't condemn them either. This new design is more dynamic and capable of handling a variety of healing profiles, and we feel it will offer greater reliability for Mistweaver's consistent healing. We'll be monitoring its feedback on this change. So this was the Fistweaving build, I'm assuming, right? Ancient Teachings has been redesigned after casting Essence Font and Phalanx Stomp. Your target upon Blackout Kick and Rising Sun Kick heal up to 5 injured allies within 30 yards for 150% of the damage done, split evenly among them. So it's not going to be a single target burst heal. There's some more overall. This is going to be really overpowered into dot classes in PvP. Really overpowered into that, but not so much into burst. Burst of Life no longer reduces the cooldown or effectiveness of Life Cocoon, but its healing increased by 30%. New talent, Chrysalis, reduces the cooldown of Life Cocoon by 45 seconds, located on the choice node with Burst of Life. Oh, so you're not going to be able to get both these at the same time. Chrysalis has been a staple honor talent for Mistweavers in PvP. We feel that this reliance on this talent has been indicative of Mistweaver's lack of external cooldown options in many forms of content. We're moving this to the spec tree to free up an honor talent slot and offer new PvE relevant options in this choice node. I don't know if that'll be 100% because I feel like absorbs are not really that great in PvE. It's generally damage reduction is what you want. Developer note, with a redesign of Ancient Teachings that is more focused on group-wide healing, we are adjusting Vivify's healing profile slightly to increase Mistweaver's spot healing. Vivify primary healing has been increased by 50% from 20. Invigorate Mist healing is reduced by 12. Calming Coalescence talent has been removed. Song of Chi-Ji talent has been removed from the Mistweaver. I think it's going to be going baseline with Ring of Peace. Revival and Restoral now properly override each other on your action bar with swapping. We like that. We like changes like that. Invoke Yulon and the Jade Serpent. Invoke Chi-Ji, the Red Crane, now properly override each other when you swap action bars. For Holy Paladin, Light's Hammer and Holy Prism now properly override each other on your action bar. Again, just more talent swaps. And here we go, Priest. This is the big one. This is the rework class. So for Priest overall, Divine Star and Halo should now properly override the other on your action bar when swapping talents. The bounce radius of Paramini has been increased. And for Shadow, greetings. We have several changes coming to the Shadow Priest talents and Embers of Neltharion that are aimed at addressing spec issues and adding new talent options. Button Bloat, this is the big one. Shadow has more rotational abilities than most specs. We're working to reduce this by having Mind Spike replace Mind Flay, and removing Mind Seer. We feel Mind Seer as a spender was a worthy experiment in Dragonflight, but the gameplay has not been as smooth as we had envisioned. We are removing the spell and focusing Shadow's AoE kit further on Psychic Link. Flooded rotation. There are times in the rotation where several spells are competing to be cast due to proc frequency and overall insanity generation. We are adjusting some proc and insanity generation of several talents for clearer rotational flow. Lack of distinct builds. With updates to existing talents and some new talents, we aim for more build-defining choices. Interesting that now they want build-defining as opposed to like ambiguous, kind of you can do what you want, such as investing in cooldowns, damage or time effects, critical strike damage, or shadowy apparitions. For PvP in Dragonflight, Shadow has had access to more instant cast spells through procs and cooldowns than ever before because it was difficult to prevent Shadow Priests from scoring kills. We reduced their damage Season 1. We've removed some of the problematic procs and cooldowns moving into 10.1, so there is more counterplay to Shadow's offense. This allows us to ease up on some of the damage nerfs to the spec. We're looking forward to hearing your feedback and any of the changes we made, as well as any other thoughts about Shadow Priest, so thank you. So Mindseer, Dark Void, Coalescing Shadows, Puppet Master, Harness Shadows, Pain of Death, Surge of Darkness, and Damnation have all been removed. Damnation is gone. That is a big deal. You can't instant dot people's Shadow. That is a big nerf. I mean, they're nerfing CC and interrupts, but that is oh my god, that's big. Shadowy Insight no longer passively grants an additional charge of Mind Blast. Shadowy Insight no longer temporarily increases the maximum charges of Mind Blast. These seem like nerfs, man. Psychic Link now affects Devouring Plague and Shadow Death, so it's going to be some big cleave. It seems like you're going to get a lot of cleave damage. Psychic Link is now a 1-point talent, has been moved to Mindseer's location. Psychic Link has been reworded. Your damaging single target spells deal 40% of their damage to all targets afflicted by Vampiric Touch within 40 yards. Does not apply to damage from Shadow Pain and Vampiric Touch. Auspicious Spirits now causes Shadowy Apparitions to have a chance to generate 2 Insanity instead of always generating 1. Maddening Touch now increases the damage of Vampiric Touch by 10 to 20 and has a chance to generate 1 to 2 Insanity. Void Torrent now generates 24 Insanity. Ooh, Void Torrent getting nerfed too. Shadow Crash generates 6 Insanity, down from 15. Shadow Crash no longer applies Vampiric Touch. You're not gonna... Shadow's dead, bro. Shadow's dead. What do you mean? Shadow's dead. What this? No, dude, you're gonna have to cast all your spells again. Oh my god. Mind Devourer now has a 4 to 8% chance to grant a free cast of Devouring Plague, was 10 to 20. Mind Devourer increases the damage of your next Devouring Plague by 8 to 15 when triggered. Mind Belt no longer reduces the cast time of Mind Blast. Mind Melt is now a 2-point talent choice. When am I going to start reading the good stuff? Mind Melt increases the critical strike chance of Mind Blast by 10 to 20, was 25, stacking up to 4 times. Idol of Cthulhu can now trigger from Mind Spike and Void Torrent damage. Idol of Cthulhu can now spawns a Void Lasher if there are more than 2 targets nearby, and otherwise spawns a Void Tendril. So trying to get like AoE from that, I guess. Idol of Cthulhu Mind Flay damage has been reduced though, and Idol of Cthulhu Mind Seer damage has been increased by 75%. Void Tendril and Void Lasher from Idol of Cthulhu generate 15 insanity down from 30. Mind Seer from Idol of Cthulhu now deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. The cast speed of Mind Seer from Idol of Cthulhu no longer scales with haste. Mind Flay and Mind Seer from Idol of Cthulhu, Echoing Void from Idol of Nazoth, and Void Torrent now have 5% damage variance. Mind Spike now replaces Mind Flay. That's also a big one. Mind Spike damage has been increased. Mind Flay Insanity has been renamed to Surge of Insanity. Surge of Insanity generates 12 Insanity over its duration, down from 16. Oh my god, man. There's so much for Surge of Insanity now empowers your next Mind Flay or Mind Spike. Surge of Insanity now lasts 15 seconds from 10. Surge of Insanity accumulate up to 2 charges. I'm trying to just read this through to make sure there's nothing like, because the 2 things where you can't instantly apply dots is such a huge nerf. Screams of the Void has been redesigned. Devouring Plague causes your Shadow Word Pain of Vampiric Touch to deal 40 to 80% faster. Mental Decay now increases the duration of Shadow Word Pain of Vampiric Touch by 2 seconds when Mind Spike is cast. Dark Evangelism can now also be triggered by Mind Spike. Insidious Ire now also affects Void Torrent damage. Interesting. New talent, Thought Harvester. Mind Blast gets an additional charge. New talent, Whispering Shadow. Shadow Crash generates additional 6 insanity. Applies Vampiric Touch to up to 8 targets. So you need the talent for Shadow Crash to be able to do this. New talent, Void Touched, increases your Devouring Plague damage by 6%, increases your maximum insanity. New talent, Mastermind, increases the critical strike chance of Mind Blast, Mind Flay, and Mind Spike by 2 to 4, increases the critical strike damage as well. New talent, Phantasmal Pathogen. Shadowy apparitions deal 75 to 150% increased damage to targets affected by Devouring Plague. New talent, Mind's Eye, reduces the insanity cost of Devouring Plague by 5. Throes of Pain generates 1 insanity per rank, down from was 3 and 5. Ancient Madness is now a 1-point talent. Dark Ascension and Void Eruption should now properly override. Good. Several nodes in the talent tree have changed position. So yeah, Shadow Priests are completely different here. Shadow Priests are completely different. Damnation, it seems like is the core one that you've lost for PvP. It's going to be a big deal, but it seems like you still get the Shadow Crash VT with a new talent. For Enhancement, what's going on with Enhancement here? I see some buffs. Might be something promising here for you guys. Developers note a few talent changes have been made in an effort to allow you to opt into a reduction of the frequency and number of keybinds that feel required to play as Enhancement. We're hoping that the changes to Thorm's Invocation and the static accumulation make your lightning spells your primary spenders and not require you to also use Elemental Blast. Changing Fire Nova to deal Flame Strike damage should help the talent feel more viable when focusing on physical damage build. Wind Fury damage has been buffed by 50%. Forceful Winds damage per stack is lowered, though, to 20 from 40. Static Accumulation now grants Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning a 10 to 20% chance to refund Maelstrom weapon spent on Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning. Thorm's Invocation now increases Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning damage by 20%. Elemental Weapons now increase your elemental damage by 2.5 per active weapon imbue. And Fire Nova will now also deal fire and physical spell schools. I don't know how big of a deal this is for PvP, other than maybe this refund. Getting more Maelstrom overall could be really good in PvP. I would not imagine the Fire Nova change is really that big of a deal. And I don't know with these 2 changes together if that's a complete nullification in PvP, at least for your overall damage on Enhancement. So it seems like they just don't really want everybody using Ellie Blast. So they're trying to get Ellie Blast out of there, and we'll have to see how it unfolds in terms of what's going to be the next biggest thing. But really big class changes here for 10.1 in this first update. If you want to make sure you're staying up to date, do make sure to hit the subscribe button. Other than that, thank you very much for your support and for tuning in. I hope this update has got you some valuable intel on your decision-making process moving forward for 10.1. And so thank you for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one.